Hello and welcome to a video with me, Raindale, and today is the 5th episode of our MR Spotlight show, and how could we not feature the MR unit that everybody's getting for free? So this is what we'll be doing today. We'll be taking Creysse into high level arena and seeing just how well we can leverage her strengths. So speaking of strong points, let's begin there. The first reason why you would want this unit is because her shards are free. And I know there's some debates online because newer players might not be able to get all the shards right now. And I have two things to say about that. First, she's a perfectly fine unit at 89. What she brings mainly is abilities that supplement the damage of other attackers on your team, especially ranged attackers. So she's perfectly functioning at 89. Her buffs will be just as strong at that level than they will be at 99. And then I've also been told that the event reruns in the future. So whatever shards you don't get now, you will have other chances to get in the future. So you can have her become 99 at that point when your account is stronger. So what are her strong points? Aside from being free, well, she has a Water Master ability, which means that any water unit in her team will have extra HP and extra damage from their water type abilities, so that's already very useful. Then she can have a very long range with her passives. She is able to go all the way to range +3, which is the exact same range as Frederica if she uses all her range up passives. Although she does not have barrage, which means she can't reach as far with this AoE attack. But she is still one of the ranged attackers with the longest range in the game. Then she has the ability to disable enemies with two different instances of Arm Shot, one that has a longer range and that's in the Gunner subjob, and then one from the Sniper subjob which deals less damage but can go over obstacle because you don't need line of sight for bow abilities, as opposed to gun abilities. She can also break barriers, so she can kind of help your team survive with Disable, and then help your team go through tanks with Barrier Break. And then she supports missile offense with her main job as a gunner. She can give missile attack up and range up to her allies, but she can also boost their damage by just improving their attack through the target share ability from the sniper job. And that's interesting because both those buffs stack with each other really well. So another gunner could use aimed fire, and then she would use target share to increase their attacks, and they're just multiplying off each other for an even greater effect. So that's mainly what we'll be leveraging today. So let's go take a look at our teams. Alright, so let's take a look at our team, and the first unit I want to showcase is Creysse. So she's there, 3.5k HP, 710 attack. That is not carry level. She doesn't have an incredibly high amount of attack. She's also not the fastest, so she has MR stats all over the board. But she does have a couple really nice things. But before I move on, I want to point out one more thing. She is a great ranged support. But the main reason why she's not a ranged carry is because she has 0 AoE abilities. All the damage she can do is single target, so she'll never be the one that takes out all the enemy team, because she can just hit one at a time. And that's part of the reason why I call her a support. In the gunner job, we really like Arm Shot, as I mentioned, for the disable. She can chain with double shot. And aimed fire increases missile attack and range, and it's a significant increase. It is a large amount of missile attack. I believe that's 38 missile attack, and to give you an idea, a maxed out Frederica's Dream gives 35, so it's even stronger than the party ability from this vision card. Then the other buff that she's going to be using is Target Share, which gives plus 30% attack. And if you've used the Vow of Love card, you know 30% attack is pretty good. She can also take out the enemy barriers, so if we're fighting tanks, she can enable the rest of our guys to hit harder. and she can have some defense penetration for herself, but since we're not using her as a carry, that is not our priority. So that's what we're running on her. We want Concentrate for the extra range. Unless you plan on running Evasion, you don't really care about leveling this ability, so I would do that later when everything else you want is leveled. Sniper Mastery for extra luck and missile attack, and then that's it. I'll just quickly show you the stats if you want to try to build something similar here. So this is her. Then we're using Frederica for the classic barrage combo. So she is there. We have her aimed fire turned off so that she will use bells in her turn, in her first turn. So that means normally when you're running Frederica, you kind of have to give up that buff, but now Creysse will be able to use it in her stead. And so I'll just quickly show you her stats. Again, if you want to do something similar, that's the loadout. And finally, we are using Viktora, and she's there as our frontline. She has 4.6k HP, 50 defense. She has the Holy Knight's Protection and Paladin's Guard, so she can block attacks. And what she wants to do is move forward and then use her AoE dual gunner attacks to hit all the enemy team and soften them up so that the rest of our ranged attackers can take them out. In terms of vision cards, we're running attack up. I don't have Ifrit, otherwise this is what I would use, or at least I don't have Ifrit maxed. Then Frederica's Dream for missile attack, of course. And then, since we will be using a lot of TP abilities, and only one of us has bells, we're running the acquired AP up. I've been wanting to use that card for a while, so I want to try it out here and see just how many abilities we can use back to back. If we just wanted more damage, I would replace that with Titan to have the physical damage Mankiller. But I think they're going to have just enough damage as it is. So let's go and find a match. Alright, we're fighting an interesting team here with Viktora, Ruined Sterne, and Ildyra. I would say Ildyra is probably the scariest member because of her ability to take out Viktora through her high defense. But ideally, Frederica will be able to take her out. And our Frederica hits really hard once she has had the chance to receive buffs from Creysse, so we should see very impressive damage. And I'm sure you've all had the chance to watch Frederica in action, but generally teams that are running Frederica don't get aimed fire off because she will prioritize that over bells, so you are kind of forced to turn it off, even though it's such a great buff, if you want her to use Revitalize. But in our team, Creysse will be the one providing these buffs, which means our Frederica will hit a lot harder than the average Frederica. Now, Viktora does do a lot of damage as well. That was a very heavy hit. And unfortunately, Creysse gets in range, so she doesn't cast her second buff. And she misses. Had she hit, we would have been able to see her damage here. And then you can tell she is very squishy. That's her main weakness. And Ruined Sterne had just enough AP to use his Hazard Crusher, so he manages to take them out. And now it's a matter of whether Viktora can take out her opponent, which she can. So pretty close match. We got to see Creysse buff, but not really attack. So let's try to find an enemy where she can go on the offensive a little bit. Okay, so here's another interesting team. We're fighting two 100 cost units, Gilgamesh and Duane, and then Viktora. What's really important in this match is that Frederica and Creysse stay out of the enemy's range. Viktora can take some of their attacks, but a Kotetsu will take out anyone else. So we need our units to move properly. So we're using bells first, and then Viktora moves forward with her 100% defense penetration, so we're ready to hit Duane pretty hard. And at that point, we are looking pretty good. Creysse will be able to cast target share, and then in her second turn, depending on whether she's in range to attack or not, she'll either finish off Gilgamesh or cast aimed fire. And I am fine with both options. They are both very strong abilities, and they will provide a lot of more damage on Frederica. And now she's in range to hit, so Blackout. 2.3k on Duane is decent. It's not a one-shot kill by any means, but for an MR ranged support, it's pretty good in my book. So we end up winning that fight pretty cleanly. Okay, so now it's a scary enemy team. They have Kain, Warrior of Light, and Winter Viktora. And we'll be able to kill Warrior of Light pretty easily with our defense penetration. But Kain will be able to kill basically everyone on our team very easily as well. So that's where the scary part comes in. Creysse is MR and a gunner, so she has nothing going for her in terms of survivability. So while she provides a lot of utility and pretty decent damage, if she gets attacked by Kain, she's just going to die. So target share first, a very strong buff, as I've said a couple times. Then they have hate, but they're grouped, so that's not the end of the world. And I wish Frederica would use that barrage here, because it kind of screws up our formation. Fortunately though, they're all in an AoE, so we can do a bit of damage to all of them. And that was a very lucky dodge from Kain. I wish it had not happened. So, we've got Disable on Kain. That's very strong. It's going to help us surviving one more turn. But Creysse takes a hit. She's not dead yet. That's very, very good, because it allows her to take out the enemy tank. So she does a really good job here. The Disable was clutch on Kain. If he had one more turn to attack, he could have taken out Frederica, probably. And it would have been an entirely different fight. Okay, so for our final fight today, we're changing things out a little bit. I want to show a different build where Glaciela is going on the offensive. And Creysse, as we've seen, will use target share first in terms of buff. So it will increase Glaciela's damage because it's just a plain attack buff. So with that, Glaciela will be able to do a lot of damage. So I don't really change the setup for the other units, so we'll just take a look at her. And she's in the Valkyrie main and sub job because we want her to AoE, and Valkyrie sub job provides her with additional AoE options. She has a ton of attack already. If that's buffed even more, she becomes a one-shot machine, especially if she has inherited Tyranny up and is able to ignore a lot of the opponent's defense. So this team is really built around one-shotting the enemy team, and it doesn't matter that Glaciela is at 89. If she can get a nice hit off with Creysse's buff, we are looking fine. She is, however, very squishy, so it's kind of a hit or miss. So let's see if we can get a hit and make it work. Okay, so for this team, we have an interesting enemy team. They are built with Snow White Guard and missile resistance on their Warrior of Light, so they will be really hard to take out with missile attacks. Now, that's fine, because we want to use Glaciela, powered by Creysse's buffs, to do damage. So hopefully we can get that going for us. Now, if Kain takes out Glaciela before she does her job, however, we will definitely be in trouble. So let's see how we can make it work. And now Winter Viktora is the fastest, and then target share happens immediately, so that's really what we want to see. They're also using target share to buff their team, so that means Kain is extra scary. So Inherited Tyranny goes off, and now Glaciela is in range to get attacked by their Kain. That's what we wanted to avoid. We do dispel his buff, but he's still probably going to be able to do a lot of damage to us. Fortunately though, we get the affinity bonus, which means we're faster than him. And our Leap Strike does 4000 damage to Warrior of Light. Okay, he has Dragon Blade equipped and counters us for 3000 damage. The damage from Dragon's Blade is depending on the attack that we had, so that's the reason it hurts us so hard. So it's actually a testament to how well this technique works that he was able to counter us that hard, but it's still unfortunate in terms of our chances to win this fight. Now, our tank-ish Winter Viktora does a good job of depleting the enemy's AP, and so we have two people that are able to hit the enemy team back, but since they're fully built for missile resistance, it's going to take a while before we can do that. So let's see if Creysse has the damage to eventually take Warrior of Light out. And it seems like yes, but we've lost the rest of our team, so it's still a pretty scary fight. The UR enemy with a full AP bar against Creysse, and we just miss, so that's a very unfortunate way to follow up. Arm shot does not land the disable, so we end up losing the duel. But the fact that she can boost attack means that she can increase the offensive power of anyone, not only missile teams. Alright, well, I hope you learned a couple things. Today we've seen how Creysse, even though she herself doesn't do insane damage and isn't a carry, she can enable other carries on your team to be even stronger than they generally would. So she provides a lot to your team that way, and I think she's definitely worth building. As long as you're pairing her with other physical attackers or water units, because she doesn't increase magic attacks by any way. So that was it from me. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed your time here, please like and subscribe. It will make it more likely that you see this kind of video in the future. And then, thanks again, and have a great rest of your day.